Hello, friends. How's everybody doing? I hope you're all doing well. I'm just gonna pop on here to make a quick video of a book that I just finished. I just finished reading Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. Now, you may have seen me mention this book before. I had mentioned that I picked it up. I think it was with birthday money, and I wanted to try it out because I'd heard about. I think it's To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, which is part of this universe and is an enormous book. But I didn't want to pick up something as enormous as that, so I picked up Fractal Noise, which is around 260 pages or so. I was going to listen to the audiobook of To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, but I decided not to. This one is technically like a prequel to that, but I don't really care. I don't think I will be reading that because after experiencing this book, I realized this is not for me. Now, why I picked this up is because I actually really like space thrillers. So I am seeking out what I felt when I first listened, because I had the audiobook for Annihilation, and I don't remember the author's name, whatever. But anyway, the book is called Annihilation, and there's a few other books as well. I never listened or read those, but I loved Annihilation. So essentially, it's a woman who's going into this zone that is zoned off and has a lot of strange growth, and they're trying to figure out, I don't know, they're going in there looking for something. I can't entirely remember what because it's been a long time, but I just remember like eventually you get to this point where you're not sure what's real and what's not, and there's a mystery of this strange ruin, and it's like going into it, and like that kind of thing really intrigues me, and I really like that in space because technically I think that was on Earth or on a planet or something. But sorry, my cats are running around. But things also like Dead Space. Dead Space is a video game that I wouldn't recommend because it's quite scary. But essentially, it's aliens and a ship that has stopped moving, and them going to that ship to find out the mystery of what has happened. So, like, that's the kind of thriller that I was looking for. And when I read the back of this, I thought this read very much like Annihilation, where there's like existential things going on, like the characters are experiencing are kind of going to, through this journey to this giant hole in this planet, they're going to experience, like, have to kind of relive their trauma. You know, maybe it's something's happening to their minds, you know, as they're going and they're reliving trauma and all of this. And it just seemed like it was going to be existential, interesting, and a thriller, and there's a mystery there. What is this giant hole? I was so excited to find out what it was. Um, but come to find out, as soon as I start reading it, immediately I was put off. So there's a lot of swearing in this. And I mean, like, tons of F words, any other words are also there, which immediately turned me off. But I can kind of try to like look past it. You know, I'm like, okay, all right, we're just going to endure. Okay, I want to see where this is going. Language doesn't usually turn me off from reading a book. I mean, it has before, actually. The Reappearance of Rachel Price. I tried to read that one and I was disgusted. But I figured I bought this book. Let me keep moving. But then religion started coming into it, and not just any religion, but Christianity. So there's one character named Pushkin, and he is an avid atheist. He believes only in science, and he makes that very abundantly clear. And then you've got this other character named Talia, and she is a Christian. Question mark. Now, in the back of the book, there's an appendix, and it explains that her belief system is a sect of Catholicism. Hold on, I'm gonna read it in the appendium, whatever appendix. It says, Adisopitos, that's not how you say that, Orthodoxy is a heretical Roman Catholic sect that emphasizes the inescapable suffering of material life and rejects the concept of a compassionate God, instead believing that Christ's travails on the cross led the deity to become fierce and unforgiving. In this view, one's purpose in life is to praise and elevate God with no expectation of further reward, but with every fear of damnation. Sect formed among the asteroid miners of Seoul following a series of catastrophic equipment failures, famines, and pandemics. Obviously, that is not Christianity. I just want to, that's why it's, at least he writes that it's heretical. Okay, so good for that. But like, that seems to be her belief system. I don't actually know if that's associated with her. I think it is, because she doesn't really say like that she's part of that. But anyway, I assume that is because of how she believes, because she believes in God and she believes in it wholeheartedly, and she fights back with Pushkin a lot, which I really appreciate. Like that there was somebody to put him in check, even though he was pretty much unmoved by all her efforts. But the thing is when he says that, like, oh, so only people who hear the gospel can be saved. So then, like, what about aliens? Because obviously this is space. So they're like, what about aliens that have never heard God? So they're just damned. And she's like, well, yeah, heathens are damned. And I was like, well, okay. I mean, you're, oh my gosh, my cats are going crazy. It's like, okay, I mean, that's kind of tough language, but okay, girl, whatever. And I'm not sure, anyway, that I didn't like. I didn't like how harsh she was, first of all. And then eventually she agrees with him that God is mean and he's cruel and he's unforgiving. And really the only purpose that she has in life is to worship God and hope that, but when she dies, that she gets some sort of reward, because she knows she's not going to get a reward here on earth, because that's not what God does. And I was just kind of like, huh? Like, what? Like, stop. Because first of all, God is so loving to us. Like, that's the whole, like, the thing is when people start saying that God doesn't care about us, is because you're totally missing out the sin factor in humanity. Okay, the reason why bad things happen is because sin came into the world through Adam and Eve, our first parents, the first people that ever existed, okay, that God created. And they listened to a lie from a serpent who was also Satan, our enemy. And he said, because God told them, you cannot eat you can have anything in this garden, the beautiful Garden of Eden. You can have anything, but you cannot eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or you will surely die. God literally tells them that. And they said, okay, and we're going about their business. And then this serpent, the enemy, comes in and he says, so did God really say that you would die? Surely not. You will become like gods. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. This is my paraphrase. And so Adam and Eve decided, well, that sounds good. And then they ate it. Okay, so they didn't trust that God knew what was best for them. They thought they knew what was best for themselves. That brought in sin and the curse of the world, which is the fall of humanity, and that we all have a sin nature that we are born with, and that is what causes problems in the world. Okay, because Talia's suffering, we find out, is because she was on this planet that was like raided by these awful, like this awful opposing force. Okay, she was part of the native group on that planet, and this opposing force came in. They raided the planet, ransacked it in every way that you can, mistreated the people. People starved to death, people died. And so she experienced extreme suffering. And there's no doubt that that's true. And that makes me really sad. And we see that in our own world. Okay, it's just, it happens horrifically in other countries, especially. But the thing is that is humans doing evil human things to people. And that is literally the sin nature. Okay, that is what is in us. It is our fault, not God's fault. Okay, there is nothing evil in God, is what the Bible tells us. And that is just fact. He is only good. God is only good. He is holy, which means he's perfect. So as you can see, I get really heated when I'm talking about this, because it made me so upset that that was her belief system. So I thought, okay, this can go one of two ways. This might be, I'm hoping, some sort of like she goes through this journey and she realizes that God loves her, or she's going to go through this journey and become like an atheist. I have no idea. Like, I didn't think that there was any other way that this was going to work out. Turns out neither of those things happened, you know. Turns out neither of those things happened. So I'm going to spoil Fractal Noise. So if you want to read it, I mean, I guess you can, it's fine. But essentially what ends up happening is, so they find, they're trying to find out if this system that they're in is good for colonizing. And that's when they see this planet that has a giant, perfectly circular hole in it. Okay, and it's emitting EMPs. It's emitting sound, and it's the Mandelbrot something serum. I don't know. It's a mathematic thing. Don't ask me. Okay, it's making noise, and they kind of conclude they don't know what it is. They don't know where it came from. They don't know the aliens that made it. And they kind of conclude that they got to go down there and figure out what it is. And so that's what they decide to do. So Talia, who is a Christian, who believes in God but believes that God is mean, is going. The atheist guy, Pushkin, is going. Then we have our main character, Alex, who goes, and Chen, and then a couple other people that are to stay with the lander that's going with them. So they go down there, and essentially it's so annoying because like almost the whole time you have Pushkin and Talia arguing about their beliefs, and both of them are wrong. So I'm just like, aside from the times when Talia says that God exists and it doesn't matter what you say and what you believe, God exists, I'm like, okay, girl, woo, like I believe, yeah, way to go. But like the way she believes is just wrong, okay? And she's not a nice character either, which is also kind of off-putting. Like, wouldn't it be nice? I mean, they're all kind of miserable. Chen is like the only one who's kind of bearable because he's just quiet and kind of keeps to himself. But the other thing is like, so you have Pushkin on one side, atheist. You have Talia on the other, a believer, but a very strange one. And then you have Alex and Chen, and both of them, when they're brought into the argument, are just like, I don't really know and I don't really care, and I don't think it really matters. And I'm just like, and especially like Alex is somebody that we're supposed to be rooting for. And now, mind you, Alex is depressed because he lost his wife to a terrible animal, like alien animal attack on the planet that he came from. And his last words to her were unkind words. So he's carrying a lot of guilt with him, which totally understandable. But his wife and her family believed in God in a good way, I think, in a normal way, I think. And he struggles as much as he wants to, he struggles to understand that. And he kind of says that like having faith sounds really nice, but it sounds like you're just passing the buck of your emotions to somebody else and not really handling it yourself. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like how many ways can you get wrong what being a Christian is? Like how many ways, Christopher? How many ways can you get wrong what being a Christian is and what having faith is? Okay, so many ways. He's doing all of the ways. Anyway, so that's really annoying that you have both of them. Like, I don't know. It's just annoying. But anyway, the parts of the book that interested me, mind you, I gave this a 1 star because there was too many problems with it for me. And I would never reread it. I'm going to be getting rid of it immediately. But the parts of it that were interesting was the actual journey, the things that they found out, and him actually getting to the hole eventually. I mean, horrible things happen in between, like people get injured, people die. I mean, I guess I'll spoil it. I guess it doesn't matter. Like Talia kind of, she gets Pushkin gets injured, and he has like stuff growing in him from the planet, and he's freaking out. So he's like, we need to go. And she's like, no. And then she ends up shooting him with a bolt gun and being like, well, now you can't leave because you would need both arms or whatever. I don't know. It's like, it's so unhinged. She is not a character that you would root for at all. It's just such a bummer. And like it would have been nice to have a Christian that was like, I don't know, positive role model, but no. Um anyway, and then at some point Pushkin loses it and he kills Talia, and he almost kills Chen because Chen was trying to save Talia, because I think Chen actually liked her, you know. And I mean, Alex tries to stop him too, but he's like a huge dude. Anyway, so eventually, and then Pushkin dies too. And then it's just Alex and Chen, and they make it to the edge of the big hole that's boom, 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 making noise. And he just starts thinking, like, what if I just threw myself into the hole? Like, because he's really depressed, right? And he's like, finally, I wouldn't have to think anymore, whatever. He doesn't end up doing that, and it could have been so good because when he makes that decision, I'm not going to kill myself. I'm going to keep living. I'm going to live for Layla and also for Chen, because Chen is currently unconscious. He got injured in the fight with the other two where they ended up dying. He got injured. And so he's like, he can't get home. Alex would have to get him home. And he's like, okay, if I kill myself, then Chen is going to die. And I don't want to be responsible for that. That's not fair. He needs to find his place in this universe just like I do, and his purpose. And so I won't do this because I want to save his life. And then he ends up like feeling this hope welling up in him. He actually gets really emotional, and he realizes that he wants to live for the first time in a long time. And I was just like, could that not have been a moment where he realized, like, I mean, if as a Christian, I'm just like, that's what God gives us. You know what I'm saying? He gives us that hope to go on, that we do have a purpose, and we have a purpose. God has a calling for everybody's lives. And it was just such a bummer to find out that this was just not it, first of all. And they didn't even go down into the hole. I don't think you could. I don't think there was a way. But we never really found out what it was for. And maybe it talks about it in the Sleep in the Sea of Stars book. But I don't want to find out. This was a terrible experience for me. And if there's more of that rhetoric about Christianity being like, I mean, again, it does say in here, if that's the sect that she was part of, that it's heretical. Okay. So good news for us that Christopher Paolini realizes what Christians actually believe. But, and that anything outside of that is heretical. So, okay, that's good. That makes me happy. But this book was just such a mess of like arguing beliefs and the beliefs on the other side, like on the right side, the Christian side, being completely wrong. Like the atheists are pop off, like, I don't care what you're saying because it's all dumb. Like, who do you think made all of those systems that you say are what made us? Like, come on, please. Intelligent design, I think so. But anyway, so that was my experience with Fractal Noise. It wasn't a good one. But there are pictures in here. Like, there was so much about this book that I thought was freaking cool. Wait, I want to find a picture of that is, oh, this is cool though. Look at that. So this is like the surface of the planet, and there's like these rings. I don't know if you can really make out the rings, but then there's this strange hole that's emitting radio waves, and boom, and it's like, it's pretty cool because like later, like there's always, because they hear the thud 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 coming from it, and the closer they get, the bigger the letters get, or the thuds get, and then eventually it just turns into asterisks. But I like that, like there was a lot of creativity in this book that I really liked. If only the characters had been somewhat bearable and they hadn't like mutilated Christianity, or had a, like if you had a Christian character that was actually a Christian character who loved God because she knew that God loved her and that she was saved by grace, and not having to like work for his love, or like work not even for his love, 'cause she didn't believe that God loves. So like, anyway, I just want you to know that God loves you so freaking much, that he loved you so much that he sent his only son. Like, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he sent his only son. Wait, I gotta say this the right way. That is the right way, but I have to say it the way that I memorized it. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. And Ephesians 1:5 also says, even before the world began, God loved us and chose us in Christ to be holy and without fault in his eyes. Okay? Like, he loves us, dude. And there's so many more verses that talk about his unfailing love, because God never changes, therefore his love never changes. And he Jesus went to the cross willingly, by the way. He was not forced on the cross. He was not caught by surprise and made to go on the cross. No, he went on the cross willingly to save our lives, because we had sinned and there was no way. We rebelled against God, and we all do, by the way, and there was no way for us to save ourselves from that. We were doomed. We were all doomed. And Jesus said, hold it. I'm going to go save my people. My Father is sending me. I'm going to go save these people. If they will believe in me, if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that he was risen from the dead, then you will be saved. Like, and that's a guarantee, by the way. That's a freaking guarantee. And then once you're saved, nothing can pluck you from his hand, okay? Not angels or demons or principalities or darkness or nothing. Nothing in this world or supernatural can take you from the hand of God, okay? As long as you don't give up. Don't give up. So I just want to make, like, this is just so wrong on so many accounts. So I don't think I would like to risk. I don't think it's so sad, because I really liked, and I know he wrote it when he was very young, but I really liked the Aragon series, at least what I remember from it. It's been a long time. Okay. I do want to reread it, but it's been a long time. And he talks in this, in his, author's notes, about how he wants to write more, um, from the Inheritance trilogy, or in whatever it is. I think it's 4 books, isn't it? Anyway, he wants to write more going back to dragons and stuff like that, and swords and medieval, which I think I really enjoyed that. But if it's gonna be like this, where it's more adult, and he has some ideas that I do not approve of, then, and plus, here's the thing. Here's the other thing that bothers me, is I don't get it. I don't get why you had those two clashing sides if it didn't amount to anything. Was the whole point, because like this is existential space drama, okay? So was the whole point like neither side won? So was the whole point that nothing matters? Because if that's the point, that's a horrible point to make, Chris. I hate to break it to you, because you give them no hope. Like somehow he found hope in wanting to save his friend and not be selfish and kill himself. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just so bad. And it's my first 1 star of the year. It, I mean, I've DNF'd a lot of books, but it's my first 1 star. So, there you go. It was really disappointing. I don't know that I would read from him anymore. I might, well, certainly I've learned my lesson now that I'm not picking up any secular fiction and buying it, because this is a waste of money. I just wasted money. I'm going to give it away. Fine, whatever. But I wasted money on this. And I've learned my lesson. This is literally the last time I felt that way was when I picked up Red Rising, and I couldn't believe that I wasted money on that. And now this is I only need to learn it. I only need to learn this lesson twice. Okay. If this had been picked up from a used book sale, I would feel much less upset about it. But I got this from Barnes and Noble with gift money, but still, I could have used that on anything else, maybe something good. Christian fiction, that doesn't try to tear down belief systems or anything. Even if it's a false heretical one, okay, even if he says that's what it is, that's not what comes across when you're initially reading the book. And it doesn't give you any moment to like go back in the addendum to go check out, oh, is this what she believes? Anyway. Bad, 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 bad. So I've learned my lesson. I'm not going to be picking up any more secular fiction, because it always surprises me in the worst way, not in a positive way. But that is Fractal Noise, in my opinion, by Christopher Paolini. Have you read this book? Did you maybe see something that I didn't see? Because I feel like I wholly like missed the point of this book. I don't get it. Like at least Annihilation, though weird, I kind of understood. Like it was kind of her overcoming like her past and her angst and her sadness. Like I guess he kind of does, but not at all in the same way. Okay, not well written or just it's bad. But if you did read this and you liked it and you got something out of it, I would love to hear what it is, because I have no idea. I don't understand this at all. And like I kind of, if the point is that like overly religious and legalistic people are a problem, I think that's not a great message. Like you have the atheists that are the insane, crazy, like intense atheists, and like you have crazy like religious people. If that's the idea, is like both those sides are bad and will like kill each other in the end, then like I don't think that. But the whole thing is like most of I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. Like it's just it felt like what he was saying was nothing matters, and if you're overly religious it doesn't matter, and if you're overly zealous atheist it doesn't matter. But you're missing that like being religious isn't a bad thing. Like yes, obviously there are people like Talia that exist that are very legalistic, and they believe that maybe they even think God isn't nice because they have maybe not experienced the love of God because of the legalism, right? I've suffered from legalism. I understand what it's like to be scared of God and not understand God. Like I know what that's like because I spent a lot of time in that mind space. Okay, it really was hard for me, and still sometimes it's hard for me to understand God's love for me when I have been such a miserable, depraved person, like, right? But I know that God has redeemed me, I know that he saved me, and I keep reading his word so I can understand that love more. But I know what it's like to feel like Talia. However, I would, you know to be so, she's very harsh and very judgmental as well. I know there's also people like that exist, okay? So maybe that's the point. I don't know. But either way, it just really upset me that she said some things that I truly agreed with about God, like that he exists whether you like it or not. He is the Almighty. He is, she said a lot of things that were like, yeah, I agree with. And then she would say, oh, but he's mean and he's cruel and he doesn't care. And it's like, whoa, hold up, like. And then also Pushkin, I really hated the way that he referred and talked to God. Now I know people do talk like that about God. There's nothing I can do about that. Obviously these people exist, but it's if I'm reading a fiction book, I don't want to feel like I'm in the middle of a war about my beliefs. Like I really don't, where I literally would stop the book and like argue with these characters in the silence of my room to my cats. Okay. I'd be like, girl, what? You're so wrong. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You missed it. Or like Pushkin and just being like, dude, all of these special, like, these, all of these unique things that make our world what it does, like different systems and how bodies work and how these things work and these things happen and degradation and entropy and all of these things. Those things exist because God made them. Okay, like there's no way that these systems just popped into. Anyway, I don't need to argue with you guys. Okay. Anyway, I don't understand. So if you understood, let me know. I'd love to hear why this book exists. I know he said that it was because he had a dream. I actually read the back of his author notes, but still weirded me out. So anyway, that's my review. 1 star. Don't pick it up. Don't read it, especially if you don't want to be angry about their portrayal of a Christian kind of character, or a character that believes in the one true living God, but doesn't believe correctly because they come from a sect of Christianity that is cultic, which means that, because there's a lot of cults out there that claim they believe in God, but they don't actually believe in God. They believe in some version of God that has been invented by a cult. But they will sometimes still call themselves Christians. So that's what I would say that she is. She's actually a cultic Christian, if you will. And then, of course, an atheist. And, oh, okay, anyway, hot mess behavior. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, but I'm all done talking about Fractal Noise, and you shall not see this book again. So, right now I'm currently reading Les Mis, which is like a 360 180 from this book, obviously, and is way more delightful and talks so lovingly about our loving God. Um, and so I am just gonna, and it talks about suffering, but in a way that puts it on us because it's our fault, by the way. And we do have an enemy in this world, so that's also something. So that's going to be it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it was kind of like not a very nice review or anything, but I think it's important to talk about things that are really like, it just affected me. It was such a negative experience, and I think it's important for people to know, especially if you're a Christian, what you might be getting into if you pick up this book. And if you know of any space dramas that are like mysterious investigation on like a planet that is good and safe to read and doesn't have all this craziness in it and is a little bit existential, maybe you've read Annihilation, that kind of vibe, let me know. Leave some recommendations below, because I really love space dramas, but I don't want to experience this again. So all right, that being said, I love you, but Jesus loves you way more. So much. He loves you so very much. He died on the cross for you, and he went willingly. He did not despise the cross. He went willingly because he knew that you would be saved. Okay, if you put your trust and belief in him, that's why he did it. He did it out of love. He loves you right now, where you are, whatever you're struggling with, he loves you. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And it does matter, and you do have a purpose and a calling according to him. So just so you know. And have a great day.